Blogging is absolutely critical and central to really any kind of social media driven marketing process. At the most basic level, if you want people to be out there and find you, you need to be creating something that's interesting and relevant to their lives to share it. And what that starts with for most advisors, if you're trying to figure out how to create content, start with what's actually happening in your world. So what conversations are you having with clients? If you get a phone call from 3 clients about some issue, I guarantee you it's on the minds of more of them. Take what you've just produced, what you've been answering to them, create it as a blog, get it out there and share it with them. And I think it's important to remember as well, share with them in whatever means is comfortable for you. So I've seen a lot of advisors that are resistant to doing blogging because they think, well, I'm not very inclined towards writing. You don't have to do it with writing. If you're more inclined towards video, set up a video camera and record it. If you're more inclined towards talking, do it as a podcast. So there's lots of different ways to get the content out there. Find whatever communication medium is comfortable for you. The point is to share and demonstrate your expertise, and the easiest starting point for that is to start with what your clients are already asking you about and the kinds of things you're already answering for them. Using a blog is simply like marketing and networking on steroids. You can reach 10 times, 100 times as many people by writing and sharing, or by blogging, video, podcasting, whatever you want, and sharing it versus just going out and trying to shake hands and meet people one at a time. If you want to get a feel for Twitter and what it's about, just sign up for an account, follow some people in the industry, and listen. First of all, that's easy from the compliance end. If you don't tweet anything, you don't broadcast anything, you don't have any compliance concerns. You're in listen-only mode, and I think a lot of people don't realize about 1/3 of all Twitter users just listen. They regularly log in, they regularly look at what content's coming through, and they never tweet a word. So that's your starting point. Get a feel for what the environment is like. Once you've done that and you're trying to figure out how to take your Twitter activity to the next step, or really social media at large, the next primary issue is, who is your actual audience? Who is it you're trying to reach? What is it that's important and relevant to them? For most firms, that's their clients or their prospective clients. And so you have to always keep those folks in mind when you're looking at what you're doing on social media. What kinds of things are important for them? What do they need to hear about? What should be shared with them so that they view you as an expert resource? Most social media audiences that are built most successfully are built organically, which means you share information that's useful. The people who follow you share it with their friends. They realize you're a useful source of information. Now they follow you too, and the network grows. And so it's all about organically growing a network. Ironically, to me, social media at its core is really just about referral marketing. It's just, again, referral marketing with so much more of a potential reach than what you can do by just going to a networking meeting and shaking one hand at a time. Nuts and bolts best practices for social media. The starting point, again, if you think of this as simply being social and interacting with people and networking, what's the big no-no of a networking meeting? Showing up and talking a whole lot more about yourself than about anybody else. So, as with anything in a social environment, most of what you share should be about what other people will find valuable, not just you talking about yourself. That being said, again, as with any kind of networking environment, at some point you need to remind people of what you do and the value proposition that you provide. So we see lots of rules of thumb out there that are something on the order of anywhere between about a 1-to-5 or a 1-to-10 ratio. So for every 5 things you send out that's about your clients or your prospects or things that's important for them, you send out 1 thing that's a reminder of your expertise or value. Some people tilt even further towards about a 1-to-10 ratio, and that depends a little bit on the nature of things you're sharing and how you're trying to get it out there. Frequency and consistency are crucial. And in terms of the frequency that we aim for, it's actually a lot. What we see as sort of ideal practices in mediums like Twitter, where things just kind of blow by and people may only check in periodically, several times a day is an ideal. Now that can be material you've queued up, and you might share the same couple articles repeatedly through the week, because not everyone's going to see it all the time. But several times a day for Twitter, usually at least once a day for content like Facebook. Best practices on blogging that we're seeing is doing something twice a week. Now again, that doesn't have to be a giant long post twice a week. That could be a couple paragraphs about some recent interaction that you had with clients, or a video or a news snippet of something that you think is interesting and relevant to your clients with a paragraph of your comments in it. So don't make it more complex than it needs to be. The whole goal is simply sharing information that's useful, demonstrating your expertise, and showing that you're a resource.